A beautiful woman is a beautiful woman. But a beautiful woman with a brain is an absolutely lethal combination. Prabhu Guru, welcome to the lounge. Let's go.
Hey, said this is a lounge. Culture and justice, you know you can trust that we holding it down. Well, you can bet we applying that pressure, it come by the pound. Speaking the truth and allow just to do what makes us so profound. That's why we got the crown. Said this is a lounge. Culture and justice, you know you can trust that we holding it down. Well, you can bet we applying that pressure, it come by the pound. We living better no matter the weather, we sticking around. Come see what we found. Yeah, this is the lounge. VSOP for the record, no better. Yeah, this for the wealth. Both of the people are equals, no better. To speak for the culture, our needs and our health. Conscious it reign with dignity, giving the keys to victory and being a man. Lift up the culture, protected from leeches and vultures, and speak for who need in a hand. Cause this is the lounge.
Welcome back to the VSOP Lounge. I, of course, am your host, the captain of the cool kids, host of the Grown Man Logic podcast, DeJuan J, and I hope that all is well. We are almost done with this series. She's a dime. The 10 things that every woman needs to get a ring. The 10 things that every woman needs to get a ring. We've talked about being social, health, emotional intelligence, sex appeal, ambition versus family-oriented, and dependability. But tonight is gonna get thick. Tonight is gonna be a conversation revolving around, you guessed it, intelligence. I had to pause for dramatic effect. Because there's gonna be a lot of smoke thrown here this evening. So here is your trigger warning. Right here, right now. Our drink of the evening before I forget my manners and become uncouth. Our drink of the evening is a Ward 8. A Ward 8. That's right. I had to go to the ward on them. A Ward 8 is our drink of the evening. Now let's get into it. Intelligence. When asked, again, I spoke about this in a couple of different of these episodes. When asked, 87% of men prefer a woman with intelligence. So why then is it that, ladies, you graduate with your PhD, you graduate with your master's degree, your degree in engineering, why is it then that we're still finding ourselves single? Well, it's often a misconception on the woman's side only that your intelligence is a direct challenge and a direct contradiction or threat to the patriarchal society. That's one way of looking at it. But statistics show that this society and this culture in 2022, this society is far from patriarchal. It's far from the traditional men ruling. It's far from women having to sit in the back and be quiet, so to speak. We're far removed from that. This year alone, even though your rights are under attack, and I'm willing to concede that, your rights are under attack, yet you have more freedom than ever before. We're talking sexual liberation. We're talking sexual orientation. We're talking positions of power, college graduation, things of this nature. And you're far more advanced than you've ever been in society before. So this society is far from patriarchal. Let's go ahead and debunk that and dismiss the nonsense right away. I think that people that argue for patriarchy or argue that this society is patriarchal has either hung on to the olden days far too long, A. B, are looking for a crutch. C, are looking for a reason to fight. Again, 87% of men prefer women with intelligence. So why then the disconnect? Why is it that we are disconnected? Well, let me tell you. It's not about the level of intellect. It's about the presentation of said intellect. Men today feel like that when having an intellectual conversation, that women believe that we think that you guys are stupid. And it's not true. There is an aggressive posture taken. There is a defensive posture taken. There is an overwhelming sense of aggression and downright indignation that comes across in a conversation when we're talking intellectually between men and women. When men say that they want intelligent women, it's about a collaboration and not a competition of wits. We want a partner. We want someone that we can build with, someone who inspires creativity within us, someone who's not going to be boring, someone's going to challenge us intellectually. And when this happens, there's nothing more beautiful than this. Absolutely nothing more beautiful. And it's not taken that way. It's met with all of the things that I mentioned before. The presentation of intelligence. There was a study done in which 5,000 speed daters who had 4 minutes to get to know their mate. And the men came across saying that they thoroughly enjoyed the conversations, but would not choose these women as mates because the presentation was overly aggressive, overly assertive, as if you had something to prove to these men. I think that the fight for equality, while there's some work to be done, some ground that needs to be gained and conquered, the fight for your intellectual and social equality is met with less resistance than ever before. Inside of this study, the men were turned off by the women that they said they would not choose as a mate because of a passive aggressive comment, a witty remark that was untimely and fell on dead soil, unfertile ground. Again, I've preached, I've taught, I've lectured on several platforms, most recently the Dear Me Queen podcast, about the presentation. We have to walk in feminine energy. And this is the problem. We love your intellect. Shout out to all my sapiosexuals out there. We love your intellect. But you have to present it in a feminine way. The world is your oyster when you're walking in feminine energy. There's absolutely nothing that can stop you. Every system that you can think of is set up to your benefit when you walk in your feminine energy. And that's all the way from marriage to child support to the job market to Hollywood. Any avenue that you can think of is set up to your benefit when you're walking in feminine energy. So it's not necessarily the intellect that we have a problem with. Actually, nothing can be further from the truth. Inside of this study, the only women that were found mateable by these 5,000 men were the women who were undeniably beautiful, and quick-witted. There's something to be said for how smart your mouth can be. And when it comes to dealing with men, you have to have the sex appeal as well as the healthy image. And then you get away with a lot more stuff. You get away with a lot more stuff. It's sad. It's shallow. It is unfair. But this is the way of the world. This is how it works. There are 10 signs that you are exactly the woman that a man's looking for when it comes to intellect. And we're going to get into it right after this edition of Street Logic. We'll be back.
What are some signs of an intelligent woman? Confidence, absolutely confident. And the mere presence of intelligence brings about confidence because now you know what to do.
One sign of an intelligent woman is her silence. Her silence can speak volumes in a room.
An intelligent woman is somebody who has pride. They have hard work. They have discipline. They have dedication. Absolutely, when we're talking about relationships, intelligence is absolutely key. Now, we could go really deeper, but I don't have that much time. But you can talk about intelligence in different perspectives.
The packaging of intelligence is very, very important. I mean, think about it. If you decide to have a healthy debate or a healthy conversation, we do have those. We can have those. And she only got 1 point. Well, I would like this when you met me. It should not be your only valid go-to assumption. It should feel belittled. So packaging, yes, it needs to come with what the qualifications of what you're looking for. You want to be able to have those intelligent, in-depth conversations, not just the surface ones.
I think immature young men are intimidated by an intelligent woman. A man who understands where he stands and he has a vision for his family will welcome an intelligent woman very easily because he knows the power of having her in his life.
No, I don't think it's an intimidation thing at all. It should be intimidating for a male to see a woman that chose reading over twerking.
Welcome back inside the lounge. See, I told you, it's not just me. We prefer women that we can conversate with regarding politics, foreign policy, domestic policy, stock options, the new Jordans, Real Housewives of Atlanta, 90 Day Fiance, what's hot and what's not, who's got the best music, we all of these things. So let's get into it. The signs that you're dealing with an intelligent woman that's walking in feminine energy. The ability to adapt. Adaptation. Women with the ability to adapt. It's because, one, experience, but two, know-how. The old saying goes, the difference between wisdom and knowledge is that wisdom is knowing what to do with the knowledge that you possess. So you can go to school, get your degrees, have your high-paying jobs, but knowing what to do with it. That's what counts. Adaptation. Being able to take adversity and move through that adversity with the problem. Being able to have a problem sat in front of you and knowing how to maneuver. knowing the difference between when to do nothing and when to sit still, because these are two completely different things. Curiosity. Ask the questions. Men complain oftentimes about having to clean up the mistakes of women. Things that women have made a mess of that men have to clean up. So ask the questions. A curious woman that asks the right questions at the right time does not come across as weak, does not come across as feeble, does not come across as somebody who is ignorant, but rather curious. I spoke about it in the book Keep It G, available on shopgrownmanlogicpod.com and amazon.com as we speak. I spoke about this. I spoke about knowing when to ask for help. Not only ask for help, but about your environment in general. Know your surroundings. The military calls it situational awareness. Common folk or civilians refer to it as being street smart. But you can't get this way without asking questions, without knowing the rules of the room or knowing the layout of the land or quote unquote who's who in the zoo. Number 3, open-minded, willing to try new things. Because the more things that you try, the more things that you're open to, the more suggestions that you're open to, the more things that you can pack away inside of your toolbox. A little bit of know-how. Number 4, humble. And this is where it comes. This is where it comes. A couple weeks ago, we talked about assertiveness versus aggressiveness. Last week, we talked about the gaslighting of men. It's okay to have a PhD. It's okay to have your master's. It's okay to be, a top attorney in the city. It's okay to have all of these things and to know these things in your particular job field. But being humble enough to know that you don't know everything. There's an old adage that says you can be happy 100% of the time, or you can be right 100% of the time. The amendment, the caveat to this adage is that nobody is right 100% of the time. And the problem that men run into with women in terms of the presentation of intellect is that there's always an argument. There's always a debate. And the man's like, okay, you got it. You win. I don't care. This is just going to bring more friction because you're going to write him off as dismissive. And it's going to be a caveat to the beginning of the end of the relationship. Or if you're in the fresh phases of this relationship, it's going to cause a complete disconnect, a turnoff. Being humble enough to know when to talk and when not to talk. Unorganized thinking. Number 5, unorganized thinking. Now, here's where I'm going to cut the ladies some slack. Women, we get it. A lot of the times your life appears to be chaotic. But that's a sign of intelligence. You have so many things going on in your brain at the same time, and you're learning and you're dealing with so much at one time. You're great multitaskers. So the fact that your thoughts can be a bit chaotic and sporadic at times actually is a nod, a feather in the cap to your intelligence. And fellas, this is just something we're going to have to deal with here. If you want an intelligent woman, her thoughts are not always going to be organized, but she's going to eventually arrive to the right conclusion. And we have to trust that. Because she packs that dependability that we talked about last week. Number 6, learn from mistakes. Women with the ability to learn from their mistakes have a better view of the world, a better understanding of the world. We see, and here's a huge red flag that men ignore. Fellas, you got to get into this girl's social media. We see all the time on timelines where it's made light of making the same mistake over and over again, especially in the relationship market, but in life in general. You have to do some investigation. Know who you're tying your horse to. It's a red flag. Oh man, I'm late for class again. Didn't do the homework again. I'm slacking off again. We got to check that stuff. We can't let that go uncontested, unanswered, unaccounted for. We have to bring the accountability piece, learning from your mistakes. But then on the flip side of that, we have to appreciate this woman's understanding of the world and take her ideas, her opinions, and her feelings into account. Not only take them into account, but respect them and actually consider them. Because usually inside of a relationship, when there's a struggle dynamic, the truth is somewhere in between the two. 7, self-control. This goes without saying. Are you a fighter? Are you a rah-rah mama? Are you going to key my car? Are you going to plunge my credit score? And indicators of this is something with as simple as, hey, this could have been said. This didn't have to be said. Self-control. In a public forum, I'm at a business meeting attempting to close down a several $100,000 deal. Well, I'm not quite at the $1 million deal yet, but it's a several $100,000 deal. Am I going to be embarrassed by something you said because someone else offended you? Or can we handle it another way? Or are you going to show me that you're not the one to be played with in that instance and in that moment? Because I don't need that. Number 8, love alone time. Intelligent women need their space. And fellas, you just got to be okay with that. Know that there's nothing wrong with her. No, there's nothing necessarily wrong with the relationship. Don't project your insecurities on her loving her alone time. She needs that to decompress, to declutter, to figure her own shit out. And we have to allow that. Number 9, here's the big one. They don't believe in luck. They rely on science and facts. Here's why having an intelligent woman is to your benefit. She takes the facts as she understands them and deduces the logical conclusion. And ladies, I'll give you this. You intelligent ones out there are brilliant and usually right on the money. More to follow on this one because we're gonna unpack this when it comes to reciprocity, matching. But these women that don't believe in luck, they're not looking at your zodiac sign for compatibility. They're not saging, hoping that you're going to come around, that you're going to exercise the demons or the negative energy. And this is no shot to those people that believe that, but we have to begin to lean towards women who operate with logic and intelligence. It's a foregone conclusion that if two people are willing to do the work, then the relationship will work. And if one person's willing to do the work, the relationship won't. And if neither of you are, then we got a completely different disaster on our hands. And procrastination. Intelligent women procrastinate a lot. There's an old funny saying that if you wait till the last minute to do something, it only takes you a minute to do. And then I'm going to do that well. Yours truly is a victim of procrastinating. There's some things where I procrastinate. So I feel you on this one. There's my olive branch. I'm going to end it with that one. Those are the 10 signs that you're dealing with an intelligent woman who walks in feminine energy. So again, ladies, to sum this up, it's not that men don't want to deal with your intelligence. And it's definitely not that intelligent women intimidate men. It's not. It's about the presentation. And hopefully you're starting to see how these things are starting to wrap together, because the more fit you are, the more sex appeal you have, the more that you can get away with in some of these other areas. But if you're on the less attractive side, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. If you're on the less attractive side, let's control what we can control. Let's control our inner self and become beautiful souls, and then become undeniable that way. There's somebody for everybody. And there's somebody attracted to everyone. But keeping that attraction long enough to get the ring and keep the ring, and start to turn the needle or move the needle on the family status in this society, in this country. We have to start to master some of these other qualities. I'm going to leave it right there. What do you think? Did I miss something? Am I wrong about something? Do you feel strongly about anything that I said? If you're catching this on YouTube, leave the comment below. If you are catching this on iHeartRadio or Spotify, you can email me, talk2gml@gmail.com, talk2gml@gmail.com. You can text, call, leave a voice message, 805-738-2766, 805-738-2766. You guys got me up kind of late tonight. I'm going to get back to this book tour. Keep It G, available now. Amazon.com, shop grownmanlogicpod.com. Amazon.com, shop grownmanlogicpod.com. Keep It G is available now. I'm out on tour promoting this thing. But come back and see me next week when we talk about reciprocity. We're going to talk about being a matcher. This has been another edition of the VSOP Lounge. Cheers.
I'm Mars. Make sure you always put in a relationship over transactions. And if you or you know anybody that needs help with buying a home, especially military, I specialize in VA loans, send them my way. Cool. Y'all be cool.